Hey there, welcome to Coffee Solo for this evening, 10:34 p.m. Pacific Time, Saturday, September 13th, 2025. That makes this episode 2025-09-1301. Today's title and topic, Conspiracy. If you are listening to this anywhere near September 13th, you can probably guess the example. But this has been going on for forever when you think about it. So I was just going to make a couple of comments since they're fresh in mind. Hopefully wherever you found this audio program, because it's available in a few places now, you're able to locate the episode description, which contains the summary in the show notes. I have written that ahead of time along with the title. I've even created the cover art already. I do need to get more spontaneous. I've been saying that several times now. And there are a few links. I'm still kind of adjusting what I want to put in the link section. I should put more links to relevant, per episode stuff. But I'm trying to stabilize because I would like to make my other creations findable by others. And now that these audio programs, the podcasts, are available on Apple Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts, and I think they are. I haven't checked. I have checked, but I haven't checked regularly. They're also available on YouTube. If you visit the podcast tab on your user interface for YouTube, you'll find these. But for example, YouTube will mark a freshly uploaded, and I will interrupt that and say they pull it from the RSS feed. So when I upload a new episode to the Spotify for Creators profile, the RSS feed gets updated. YouTube automatically pulls down the newest episode. I kind of just bumped into the microphone. Hopefully that didn't make too much noise. They download it and then they create a one-frame video automatically, and they publish it, and everything is fine except that maybe an hour or two later. I'm not sure if it's an hour. I'm not sure if it's a relative time or if it happens at noon. It did happen at noon with either FFS Talk on Thursday or Cafe Genius Impresarios on Friday. It's one of those. I had the YouTube for Creators. What is it? YouTube Studio page open. I was looking at it. It was probably like 11:59 or something, and I was like, I need to refresh the page because I don't believe it updates in live, so it won't update that setting for that video. So just as I was about to do that, I didn't do it immediately. So then the clock flipped and it was noon PST. What are we in standard? Wait, what time is it? Anyway, the clock flipped at 12 where I am. So it was at the exact top of the hour. I refreshed the page, and where the latest video was public, it was now switched to private. And I'm like, well, maybe that's a coincidence. But either way, I've mentioned this before. There is no... Oh, we're Pacific Daylight, sorry. PT. There is no... there's no way to fix this YouTube thing. I think I've mentioned this before, that I've looked around. People have mentioned it on Reddit 9 months ago. Hey, when I upload a thing and then it pulls it to RSS and it switches it to private 9 months ago and longer. A year ago. So I think I've mentioned this. I kind of want to write an automation tool. So I need to access the YouTube data API. So that's kind of on my list of things right now. It's kind of manageable. I know it's going to happen. So I just try to remember. But the whole point was I have not checked Apple Podcasts, for example, to make sure that wasn't happening. It didn't happen. It had not happened that these were flipping from public to private. So we'll see. I got to do some housekeeping, I guess. Anyway, the summary. Conspiracy theories are always interesting, even if they make huge leaps in all directions to make them seem viable. Conspiracy theories are interesting, actually. They're kind of funny sometimes. Sometimes they're tragic. Yes, they turn out, that's an ad lib there. Yes, they turn out to be true in some form on occasion. We will need to watch one very closely while ignoring the other to make some determination. Wait, watch one and ignore the other? What's the other one? Some guy, Jeffrey something? I can't remember. It's right on the tip of my tongue, but I'm so distracted by this assassination of a public figure, which I'm not making light of, by the way. I'm not a fan of using violence, and people are labeling it political violence very quickly. I don't know. I think that remains to be seen. It could be. It could be ideologically driven. It could be the way a message was being shared, comments being made and whatnot. Maybe that just pissed somebody off, but does that have to be political? It could be ideological, but is it a question of, you're too far to the right, or is it some particular thing? I don't know. I think, or maybe somebody just wanted to make a statement. What was his name? Reagan guy. Why am I totally spacing on his name? He wanted to impress Jodie Foster. What was his name? Totally spacing. Now I gotta look it up. But yeah, that was not as much an ideological thing as a wanting to get attention. So it's not Chapman. Reagan. John Hinckley. John Hinckley Jr. No middle name because he was not successful, right? Is that how the conspiracy naming scheme works? Anyway, it is so easy for stories like this to spin out of control. Like, oh, we're going to use this to float a different agenda and whatnot. So I find it fascinating what's happening now. And I think partially, everything is highly charged right now. But I think it's the old habits. It's the old habits, which I'll get to in a second. Anyway, so the profile page linking everything, buymeacoffee.com/Dan Hugo. You do not need to buy me a coffee. You can if you want, but there's a freeform profile page there that's been there for years. So I just keep it updated with my various audio creation, production projects and my GitHub repos and all that. There are some affiliate links there if you want to get a couple of my favorite coffee beans, or if you want to, what else do I have on there? There's a couple of affiliate links for things I actually use. So they're legit. You don't have to spend any extra money if you want to support my various efforts. But you don't have to do any of those things. But I do have the links to all of my programming, including the YouTube links, the home pages now for things. So yeah, buymeacoffee.com/Dan Hugo. Check that out at your leisure. I still have the Buy Me an Update link here. That might go away. And let me see. Yeah. So I have two different link sections depending on if you're finding this out in the world or on Ko-fi.com where this originates. So Buy Me an Update is available at buymeacoffee.com/danhugo/post, published on Monday mornings. It's a quick rundown on the previous week's audio program topics and titles and whatnot, and then news and announcements. So that gets published every Monday, but it's also published on Spotify, which then gets pushed out to Apple and Amazon, YouTube, etc. So this program, Coffee Solo, was originally published, like the only place it was available exclusively on Ko-fi.com, ko-fi.com/Dan Hugo. That may be where you're listening to this now, although probably not. So I decided to create the normal distribution. Sorry, any statistic fans out there. So I created a Spotify for Creators account. I publish it there after I publish it to Ko-fi.com. So it's still published there first, for what that's worth. Then it gets published to Spotify. So the link section is slightly different. I'll come up with a mixture of things, but either way, Coffee Solo is available on Spotify for Creators. There's a link for that on buymeacoffee.com. And I mean, I'm tempted to just say, hey, you know what? Instead of having all these links all the time, just go to this one page. It could be Buy Me a Coffee, or it could be the homepage for this audio program. There's a Buy Me an Update Spotify for Creators profile page. These are all linked on the buymeacoffee.com/Dan Hugo profile page. And finally, the homepage for Coffee Solo is actually my personal vanity domain, which I've had for, how long have I had this? When did I register? danhugo.com, 2004, August 25th, 2004. And it was updated on August 27th, 2025. I moved my domain from GoDaddy finally I'm migrating everything to pork bun. Just why not? First of all, cheaper, but second of all, they have a usable API. Third of all, they seem nice, and GoDaddy has been tired for years. So there you go. Yeah, so visit danhugo.com. As I'm speaking right now, it's still ugly. It's one of my to-do items is to make the websites look nicer. So the title, Conspiracy. I've sort of foreshadowed this already, but I'm probably speaking of the assassination of Charlie Kirk when I went through that summary there. But maybe it's actually the Epstein situation or whatever it is in Candace Owens' head that she's talking about on any particular day, and that is a crazy show. I leave it on just to say, as the famous Howard Stern Miss America movie recounted, people that like her listen for 5 hours a week because they want to see what she's going to say next. The people that don't like her listen for 7 hours a week because they want to see what she's going to say next. Yeah, that was a long way to go for that one. I think she's nuts. But yeah, so whatever she's talking about, maybe that's a conspiracy, or maybe it's the 24th anniversary of the events of 9/11, which I've also talked about this week as we refer to them. Maybe it was that. I've been speaking more than a little bit lately. Okay, it's probably Charlie Kirk right now, though. But any of those would do, really. I've been speaking more than a little bit lately across my various audio productions about the general lack of communication and with the complete, in general, when they're trying to talk about these events that are happening and unfolding in real time, especially. And so here again, I mean, it could be 9/11. If you think back to 2001, what was going on? If there was as much social media use as there is today, it would have been a madhouse. Every little thing would have been amplified and the basis of some weird, bizarre theory that would just distract and confuse, and so many moving parts there. I mean, it's still going, so, but it wasn't in real time. But there's still 9/11 conspiracy theories. So yeah, and there's a complete lack of the use of modern day tools to counter the communication problems. And so I basically just said they might be used in bad ways, but that's because it's social media. That's literally a human posting something, maybe even tersely to fit into some character limit, and then other people building on that and taking those balls and running with them, as the saying goes. And then who knows what's going to happen with that, right? I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about keeping track and making available credible data and eventually information that comes from that data, and kind of aggregating it and analyzing it and filtering out the parts that don't make sense and that are probably misinformation or worse. And so we can publish the information, the analysis of the data, and you can publish the data too. That's kind of an ongoing stream of data coming out, and you can publish this stuff and about the events and people and so on, so that at any given moment in a particular timeline, there could be total information awareness for anyone looking. Yes, some information would need to be withheld along the way. I will get into that in a moment. But generally speaking, we have everything we would need to publish data as it becomes available. Update with additional data. So there's, every fact, every opinion, every picture, video, Audible, Notion, whatever. Each thing is kind of coming in whenever it comes in. We can make corrections to previous data. Oh, that turned out to be wrong. We can, that person was arrested and they had nothing to do with it and they've been released, right? Those could be in the timeline rather than being just matters of anecdote that are in the FBI director's twit stream or wherever else, right? And eventually we could connect pieces of data through analysis to form pieces of actual information around the incident. And those pieces of information would be assembled together to round out the puzzle, right? So these are things that could be done. And hopefully they're being done behind the scenes, right? Hopefully Quantico teaches things like how to gather evidence and how to make connections between potential actors in a scenario and so on. But when they're sharing it with the public, oh my goodness, it is horrible. Now, bad data. I am not a criminal investigator. I have no professional or practical experience or training or anything with this regard, but I have seen movies And I have seen procedurals, cop procedurals, law procedurals, etc., on TV. Who hasn't at this point? And related media. And by now, we have all seen some version of an interrogation video on YouTube, right? I would hope. The guy with the voice. I wish I had that voice all the time. I obviously cannot say if this is true every time, but is it possible that sometimes there will be some release of data by a competent person involved in the investigation, like maybe a claim that there were bullet casings, unused bullet casings found with inflammatory inscriptions made on the unused bullet casings without photos, without corroborating specific details or those photos or video or anything. No, who found the bullet? Oh no, we'll get to, they kind of backpedal a little bit, but they basically, they could plant that out there and to see what sorts of tips roll in, right? Is that happening? Maybe. That would be kind of cool, I think. Like that would be conscious forethought during the investigation, but it's often played as, oh, now they're walking that back because that didn't happen. And that could be true too, right? I mean, it's probably provable at this point that the entire team of law enforcement and investigation and so on, people that we have working for us, are not always the pointiest sticks in the bundle. So who knows? Like a sticks in a bundle, like wrapped with a leather strap. Anyway, I just have to wonder. I'm wondering out loud right now. Was that a way to filter out tips, right? Because if people start writing, oh yes, I know the person that did that, and they wrote something and it doesn't match, and again, we've all seen movies. We know how this works or how it's supposed to work. I honestly don't know if this is really happening or if it does happen in general, but if it is possible to maintain control over information prior to its release to the press and casual observers, so hopefully there's no leaks and whatnot, like, oh, here's a picture of the bullet. I took it with my cell phone. You can publish it to Twitter and then undo all that utility. But I wonder if this does go on. I hope it does. I mean, that seems like it would be a logical way to proceed, especially if you get to the point where you are asking for public tips. Because then they said at one point they had 7,000 tips, and then later, many hours later, it had gone to 11,000 allegedly. I don't know. I'm sure they were getting tons and tons of tips, and you have to have a way to filter out the ridiculous ones. And we add to this now. I saw one of the photos, so they actually got the guy, and when I say they got the guy turned himself in. So all that classy police work and investigation was a matter of the dad, who probably was not a sheriff. So that was some more erroneous reporting. But the dad, I guess, either detained him and called or brought him in or whatever. All this will become more clear over time. But there was somebody else, some friend or a minister or someone had some suspicion, saw the photo, maybe called the dad or so. So all these things will come out in the wash over time. But everybody who has to rush to get the story out tells a variation of this. And then you start seeing as today, well, of course, it started off with these extreme leftists are trying to kill us, which I think is reprehensible to make those claims. Like, nobody knows who this person is yet. How? Well, it's always them. And it just gets worse and worse. So then, of course, they have to counter that, production by street, with the whole family's MAGA, and he's living with a trans person. And so everybody's going to start plucking out these pieces of data. And then I saw an AI-generated image of the guy, what's his name, Ryan something, wearing a MAGA shirt. Like, nope, that's AI-generated MAGA shirt, not actually wearing a MAGA shirt. So all manner of misleading ruminations will be taking place. So this was going to be an interesting, because it's super duper high profile. And I mean, it's so high profile that there was a school shooting in Denver at the Evergreen High School just outside of Denver proper, like within an hour. I think it was an hour later or 40 minutes later or 30 something. And have you heard about that? Of course not, because Charlie Kirk was not there. So who cares? So it's comically awful. But yeah, because this is so high profile, it will be interesting to see what sorts of distractions, false claims, claims that get backed up by false information. And what I just heard this, I think it was Bustamante. I'm not sure about that guy, former CIA Andrew Bustamante. Misinformation, disinformation, malinformation. That's what it was. Yeah, malinformation. Okay, so what is it? Disinformation is information that is false, and the person who is disseminating it knows it to be false. So that's just a lie. I'm going to tell you a lie to get you to change your opinion, or to distract, or to mislead you, to lead you away from things I don't want you to know, etc. So it's a deliberate, intentional lie. Misinformation is information that is false, but the person who is disseminating it believes it to be true. So I always thought, oh yeah, I guess that is right. It's a mistake, right? And so misinformation would hopefully be identified and corrected. So is it misinformation to say we caught the person, we arrested them, and then correcting it later to say they were released because they were not the right person? Or was that, I'm not going to say disinformation, or was that just incompetence? Or is that the way things are supposed to kind of unfold? It was kind of both. And then malinformation is information that is based on reality, but it is used to inflict harm on a person. So I think that's where you tell someone, probably arguable that the Wall Street Journal published that birthday card thing about Trump's entry in the birthday book for Jeffrey Epstein for his 50th birthday many years ago. So by writing, now the information was out there, and it has since become visible to the public from the estate of Jeffrey Epstein. But by writing that article, was that malinformation or was that legitimate reporting? Because it was intended to, shine a light. I guess it's kind of tricky. Anyway, misinformation, disinformation, misinformation, malinformation. So I'm personally watching the events as they're unfolding just because of the ridiculous amount of all of those floating around. The current one now, I was literally just watching an interview. I just had it on while I was writing this. I figured, okay, that'll get me the conspiracy mindset. It was, now, what is the guy's name? What is that guy's name? What's his name? The Ed Rosenthal? No, it's something like that. He wrote an article. Charlie Kirk, payment from Israel. What's his name? Why am I totally spacing his name? The name of this person, Max Blumenthal. Thank you. I was Ed Rosenthal. Sure. Max Blumenthal. So Max Blumenthal was on talking about this article he published about how Charlie Kirk was offered some money from Israel to fund Turning Point USA, and that he declined it. And then he was concerned that someone would come after him, and, conspiracy theories. So I just will be interested to watch this unfold. I became fascinated, and who hasn't at some point, became fascinated somewhat with the JFK conspiracy theories, and there are tons of them. Just so fascinating to me that the ability to go back in time to collect evidence so far, well, I mean, it's of dubious providence sometimes, but people who are able to reconstruct things, some of the computer models that have taken place, some of the just all the facets of it were fascinating to me. And a key part of the problem, two key elements are: one, they really were not prepared to cover in real time the events of that day, but also, and you can't really argue against this, there was a proactive cover-up of some aspects of the events as they unfolded. So, and even though they'll say, well, this is a fact, it's like, well, it doesn't really connect. I don't spend a ton of time on this, but I do find it interesting that there always seems to be another little teeny tiny bit that trickles out somewhere. And I think we might see some of this because of the proximity to so many political figures with Charlie Kirk. We may see some similar things like, oh, we're just not going to release that, or we're not going to say anything about that, or there'll be some gaps in the timeline from in the last 10 years or so. And some people that are very prominent in that timeline, who are also of some political stature, or various professionals or well-known individuals who were supporters or friends, et cetera, et cetera. It will be interesting to see what unfolds from this, because surely there will be a deep dive. I'm no expert on this, but it sure seems like this is getting as much attention as if it had been, like when this first started unfolding. Now I am not likening the two people. Both are flawed. Both had some ideas that may be interesting. One had better ideas, I would argue. Neither of them was a perfect individual by any means. But I kind of, when this first unfolded, and when it started to unfold, I was like, this kind of has a feel like Martin Luther King Jr.'s assassination, just because there was such a huge following for a non-political figure, but somebody who was sharing a message and was resonating with a tremendous fraction of the population and so on. Now, obviously, MLK was assassinated on a balcony, kind of out of view, while this took place with cameras rolling, many cameras rolling in public. And in fact, interesting observation from Cam. What is his last name? He was in a school shooting, and he is on the Bulwark, and his name is Cam. Of course, they only do his first name. What is Cam's last name? Cam Caskey. So Cam Caskey, I guess he was on some video at some point, like right after. But then I saw him speaking another time after that, and he said that the Charlie Kirk assassination was actually a school shooting. And at first I was like, wow. And he goes, hey, first of all, it took place on a school campus. But second of all, there were people of all ages. There were students. There were young kids. So the people that witnessed this in person, and of course through video and through the news and whatever, this is almost exactly the same as any of the other school shootings that have taken place this year and for years previous, right? So he was saying it kind of triggers some things in him. So I think, it will be interesting to see how this is reported, how this is analyzed, how this is perhaps covered up a little bit. And again, because there are so many high-profile people that are in the orbit of this person and this organization, TPUSA, Turning Point. So yeah, that's something I'm actually going to be paying attention to, just to kind of see what happens. But I think too much of this stuff is told as anecdotes, right? Or in classic news reporting, inverted pyramid. And I just think there's so much that could be done to make fact-based or event-based or data-based reporting, a collection of all three of those things, like making use of modern technologies to make those more reliable, more robust, I guess is a word I would use. But you have to couple that with this sort of misinformation that does get disseminated, disinformation that to be false, but that you can use to filter out some of those 7,000 to 11,000 submissions, right? So all that's interesting, and you could still even report a fact. I'm about to talk about what I talked about on Thursday last week. You could report a fact, and then later you could amend it, and that would be on the record, right? You would say, oh, this was as it was reported, and this was as it was reported later, and it corrected the bullets were actually illegible, or somebody made a guess at what it said, or whatever, right? So that still fits into the model. My model of reporting news and data and whatnot is something I talked about in my most recent FFS Talk episode, titled Context, Tools, and Methods, which is based on the previous week's episode, Context and Modern Media. because I don't think modern media, independent media, the news media of today, which is not as diligent as it could be, I think it's too weird a marketplace. But managing the context of a series of events is not happening in a useful way anymore. And there are too many people reporting, too easy to spread information too quickly. It's anecdotal. It's not attached to the related information in a structured way. And you get people claiming all sorts of things at different times. There's no timestamps and all that. So I was walking through some of the ways in that episode to keep track of data as it is rolling out from multiple sources, multiple reporting agencies and individuals, and so on. So all this stuff that's happening in real time, but in multiple people's perceptions of real time, and like where they're coming into the story when they start reporting on things. And again, you can listen to the episode if you want. At any given time in the first 60 minutes after the event, first there's reporting, then there's a video that gets published. I think it was on Twitter at first, but somebody caught this really disturbing video, if you're not comfortable watching that stuff, of the actual shot hitting, right? So anyone who was talking about it but didn't see that video had a different perspective than someone who did. And so that causes some interactions in various streaming chats. I went, oh, you didn't even see the video. No, that's totally wrong. Like, what video? So you're watching these things unfold in real time because there's no authoritative report stream or streams, right? So stuff is just happening and people are mentioning it in chat rooms and in Twitter and where, who knows where else. So it's just this barrage of unstructured chaos. And I'm like, we actually have everything we need to make this better. And it would actually make for better and more reliable content creation, even for independents, right? So it wouldn't be about data ownership. It would be about data collaboration. I mean, you can still scoop stuff, but you would publish it with proper timestamps, right? And that would be helpful for posterity, even into history. So whether making, and I'm not saying people have to make use of my ideas, like I said, I think the modern day take on storytelling works for telling actual stories like inspirational startup journeys or backpacking trips through faraway lands. That's when you are telling a story where the timeline itself is like, that's not why I'm listening to the story. I want to hear about the adventure, the ups and the downs and so on. But news stories unfolding in real time with multiple moving parts and many, many potential problems like errors or misstatements or corrections that need to be made, honest mistakes, or again, somebody got arrested, but they were not related to this, or like all kinds of noise can enter the reporting stream. And I think there are better ways to manage that. And I would love to see that happen. So I don't know, maybe that's another startup I can pursue. So let's change gears a little bit because I do want to get this off my mind. How many of you order things from Walmart to be shipped to you? I don't hear anybody answering, so probably none. That's probably good. I ordered something from Walmart. I've done this before, like 3 times. I've ordered things to be shipped. It's important to differentiate between shipping and delivery, which was confirmed for sure yesterday. Yeah, I think it was yesterday. Yeah, I think it was yesterday. I'm sorry, Friday. Friday, which is yesterday, but maybe 2 days ago, but for you. Anyway, I'm confusing myself with calendars. So I order this thing from Walmart. It's a food item, non-perishable, and I wanted it shipped. That will become apparent why in a moment. I have ordered things from Walmart, like I said, shipped, I'm going to say 3 times. The last time was in May of 2025. No problem. So I picked these items, total cost $40, free shipping. So because of the free shipping, it becomes a little bit cheaper than buying it from Kroger. I usually shop at the Smiths by me. Their prices are usually okay. But I'm like, oh, okay, let me see if I can have this shipped. And for free, it works out. Why not? Well, I added one other thing. I was like, oh, let me see that Walmart has a better variety of this other thing. Let me see if I can, let's try one, a variant that is not available at Smith's. And it converted my whole order to delivery. Now, delivery means they're going to have someone drive over from the store And I don't want to deal with that. And it's not free unless you're a W Plus member or something. I'm like, I'm not really, I just want to see if this is worthwhile. Save a couple bucks. I mean, saving a couple bucks. It's probably saving like, it's probably saving $8 to $10. Let's call it $10, right? Okay, that's not too bad. $40, saving 10, so that's $50 to spend at Smith's. So paying shipping would be like, why do that? Or paying a delivery fee. So I removed the extra item, switched it back to shipping. But unfortunately, apparently that did not happen. So it was going to be delivered. I did not notice that. I clicked pay. We're good. So I don't know where the delivery was made. Someone called me. I didn't get the call, so I tried to call back. Got the voicemail, full voicemail box. So I couldn't contact this person. I checked the Walmart order status page, and I got an email, I think, I got an email and a text. Good news, your package was delivered. And a link so I get to that. And now I live in an apartment building. The person, Monique, took a picture of the front of the apartment building. The item, the delivery, the box is not even in the picture. So she just took a picture of the front door of the leasing office area. And that's it. The package was never found. I don't know where it was. I don't know what happened to it. Who knows? So then I had to try to chat with somebody to deal with this. And I had to get through their automated chat, which admits right up front it's AI, so that's better than Amazon. But now Amazon has their automation blocker, so they're much more explicit. But I think Amazon was not so upfront. Now it's basically you say, "Hey, welcome to the annoying robot part of our experience." So I had to deal with that. I had to deal with it twice. I spoke to someone, or I chatted with them, and they had nothing. Oh, I really want to make this right. We're going to fix that for you today. And I'm like, can you stop the platitudes? I'm just really irritated right now. And I was irritated because I had other things that I was trying to accomplish. And I'm like, I had this product shipped to avoid this, but here we are. So, and I told them, I'm like, all of my savings on this have evaporated. Not only do I not have the product, but I'm spending time talking to you. So I didn't get the product. I got a partial refund. Why? Because one, it was a split order, and then somebody else was going to deliver something in the evening. Same deal. They didn't show up. And then I got one of the items of the total of, should have been either 12 items or 10 or something. Like a pack of 6 and 3 packs of 2. So that makes 12, right? So I got one of the 12 delivered in a brown envelope at my door. I'm like, that would have been nice yesterday, but bottom line, that was enough for me. I have canceled my account on Walmart.com. I'm never doing that again. And then I got a follow-up from somebody, probably a customer service supervisor. It has like a Zendesk style email reply with a big case number attached to it. Hey, I just read your comments. I'm really sorry, blah, blah, blah. Hopefully you'll come back and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, so I actually responded and I said, this is just silly. Amazon kicks your ass. Really. I mean, I don't like Amazon. Amazon's a pain, but they do recover from problems like this. And I am, as I've mentioned, an Amazon Vine reviewer, at least so far. I still am. And I've seen some today, this Walmart thing was, Amazon has outdone them, but they recover very easily. Like, oh, okay, well, here's a full refund, or yeah, we'll send another one if you want, or whatever, right? Usually it's a refund because that's cheaper for them. And I've had runarounds with them where they're like, oh, we'll just refund. And I said, hey, I just reordered. It was a subscribe and save order with Amazon. I just reordered everything, even though you said we are unable to replace the items that have gone missing. So I just reordered them. So why don't you pay me enough to cover that, and then we'll be good. That took another chat with a supervisor where they actually gave me not a $10 credit, like courtesy credit, but I think they gave me like $100. They said, we really want to keep you as a customer. So I'm not saying I can be bought, but I am saying that I will listen to a convincing argument. But anyway, so yeah, Amazon everything sucks, but they suck the least sometimes. But yeah, I think there's a Walmart conspiracy going on. That seems like a good enough place to end today's episode. coming up on 11:30, so we can still publish and call it September 13th, 2025. It was before midnight, so it's as I'm looking at my clock right now, it's 11:26 Pacific time. We're wrapping it up. So that's where I'll leave it. Thank you for listening as always. Until next time, keep an eye on these conspiracies. They're going to start coming in fast and loose. Take care.